Life doesn't send warnings before it turns upside down. There's no alarm bell ringing in the distance, no gentle whisper from fate, no signal flare on the horizon. 1 minute, you're on steady ground, trusting the path beneath your feet. The next, you're in free fall, grasping at memory, meaning, and anything that can anchor you to hope. For Iam Tongi, that anchor, music. It was the one thing that didn't shift when everything else did. Compass in chaos, friend when silence became unbearable. His story isn't just a tale of notes and chord. It's a story of love lost, of pain turned into poetry, of sorrow wrapped in melody. It's about a boy from the Pacific who sang not to be heard but to be understood, who transformed grief into a gift the world didn't know it needed until he opened his mouth and let his soul pour out. His voice, full of warmth and ache, became a balm, not only for himself, but for anyone who has ever known what it means to. Before we unravel the story that changed everything, take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe if you're into raw, real deep dives. We cut through the noise to bring you the most powerful stories in entertainment. No fluff, no clickbait, just truth, emotion, and the moments that shape us. And trust me, this one, it's gonna stay with you, not just through the video, but long after it ends. Iam was born in 2003 on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, a place where the land speaks, the ocean sings, and family means everything. In his Polynesian heritage, roots don't just run deep, they grow wide. Generations are not just remembered, they are carried forward in tradition, in language, in song. In the Tongi household, music wasn't something they did. It was something the sound of a guitar was not background noise. It was sacred, steady, ever present. His father played it with the kind of reverence usually reserved for prayer. Every strum told a story. Every pause left space for love. His mother, ever gentle, filled the home with melody, humming traditional Hawaiian songs that wrapped the air like warm trade winds, whispering old wisdom to young hearts. In that home, music was never just for entertainment. It was nourishment, it was comfort, it was identity. From the beginning, music lived in the walls of their house, in the bubbling pots in the kitchen, where laughter mixed with lyrics, in the glow of the porch light, where the family gathered at dusk, serenaded by the rhythm of waves and the strumming of ukuleles. And even in the quiet, those sacred, wordless moments where nothing needed to be said, because music had already spoken. These sounds became Iam's first teacher. No sheet music, no formal lessons, just feeling, just truth. He didn't study music, he absorbed it, not with technique, but with tenderness. His earliest performances at school events or community gatherings weren't rehearsed showcases. They were extensions of who he was. Each time he stepped in front of a crowd, he wasn't trying to impress. He was simply coming home. But even paradise has shadow. Behind the beauty of sunsets and the harmony of island songs, there were struggles the world didn't see. Financial hardship was an unwelcome but constant guest in the Tongi. His parents worked themselves to the bone, sacrificing sleep and comfort just to keep the lights on. There were lean times of worry, of stretching every dollar, of doing without. Yet, somehow, joy remained. Their home may not have been rich in things, but it overflowed with presence, with love, warmth, and with music. It was this backdrop of humble strength, enduring love, that forged the foundation of Iam's voice, not just musically, but spiritually. He learned early that what matters most isn't what you have, but what you give. Music, for Iam, was the most honest gift he could offer. As he stepped into his teenage years, the pull toward creativity became undeniable. Singing wasn't enough. He wanted to write, to pose, to express the inexpressible. That hunger turned into fire the day he truly heard Israel Kamakawiwo, known across the islands as Iz. This gentle giant had a voice that seemed to echo across time, both fragile and full. He sang like the sea, steady and endless, carrying sorrow and hope in equal measure. For Iam, Iz became more than a musical. He became a mentor in spirit. Through Iz's songs, Iam learned that truth in music doesn't need to shout, it just needs to be felt. That one honest note can change everything. That you don't need big production to leave a big impact. What you need is heart. What you need, so. Iam picked up his guitar and began to. His lyrics were full of life's quiet moments. Watching the sun sink into the Pacific, sitting beside his father in silence, longing for more time, dreaming of something just beyond the horizon. He wove traditional Hawaiian soundscapes with his own soul, crafting something intimate and timely. These weren't tracks meant for radio. They were messages in a bottle, confession, conversations, sometimes even prayer. And then came the silence that shattered it all. One word turned their home upside down. Cancer, a diagnosis, a devastating truth. His father, the man who had been his compass, his cheerleader, his creative partner, was terminally ill. The strength that once steadied Iam now faltered. The hands that once played beside him now trembled. What had once been filled with song was now haunted by uncertainty. Each hospital visit became a waiting, one moment of cautious hope, another of crushing despair. And yet, in the darkest nights, Iam turned once more to the one thing he knew would never leave him: music. He began writing again. This time it was different. Each word was soaked in grief, each chord echoing sorrow. The tribute he created for his father wasn't meant to be released. It was simply survival, a lifeline thrown into the storm. It didn't follow structure or trend. It wasn't polished. but it was raw, it was real, it was him. When his father passed away, the silence that followed was unbearable. The world felt off, the house felt hollow. Grief wrapped itself around Iam like a second skin, and for a time, he considered stopping. What's music without the person who gave it meaning? But slowly, through the haze of heartache, came a promise, a vow, not to move on, but to move forward. With trembling hands, he picked up the guitar and he sang through the pain, through the tear, and that act, that brave act, became the beginning of something extraordinary. His performances changed. They were no longer just songs, they were stories, stitched with pain and patched with love. The audience didn't just clap, they cried. People who had never met Iam felt as though he had told their story, and in a way, he had, because his music had stopped being just his, it had become ours. Then one night, a scout was in the audience. Nothing fancy, nothing planned. Just Iam, raw, real, and vulnerable, and it was magnetic. That single performance would launch him onto a national stage. But even as the lights got brighter and the audiences got bigger, Iam didn't lose his way. He didn't chase fame, he chased purpose. He used his platform to speak, not just sing, to open conversations around mental health, grief, and the healing power of vulnerability. He refused to pretend, refused to polish his pain. Instead, he showed others that scars can be safe. That feeling deeply is not a weakness. It's a superpower, especially for the youth, the ones drowning silently in their emotions. Iam became a lighthouse, a voice saying, "You're not alone." Through his music, he created community. Through his honesty, he created space for healing. His songs became more than melody, they became movements. Today, Iam Tongi isn't just a rising star. He's a symbol of what it means to lose everything and still sing, of what it means to grieve honestly and love fiercely, of what it means to turn silence into a song that saves not just the artist, but the listener too. Every stage he steps on becomes a sanctuary. Every lyric he sings becomes a lifeline. And every story he tells reminds us that even in the aftermath of loss, something beautiful still grows. Iam Tongi's journey is more than a musical success story. It's a living, breathing reminder of the strength that can rise from heartbreak, the beauty born from authenticity, and the healing that comes when we dare to share our truth. His life teaches us that grief doesn't have to be the end of a story. It can be the beginning of something deeply meaningful. When Iam lost his father, it would have been easy to retreat into silence, to let the weight of that pain crush his passion. But instead, he did something extraordinary. He turned toward music, not to escape the ache, but to give it shape, to transform it into something that could be felt, understood, and even shared. Through that process, Iam teaches us that vulnerability is not weakness, it's bravery in its purest form. In a world where so many people are taught to hide their pain, to keep smiling while they suffer in silence, Iam did the opposite. He showed up, open-hearted and honest, and let the world see his grief. He didn't try to mask it with glitter or filter. He let the tremble in his voice be part of the song. He let the tears fall, and somehow that openness became a mirror for others. Listeners saw themselves in his music. They saw their own losses, their own struggle, their own hopes reflected in his story. Iam's willingness to be real gave others the courage to be real too. He also reminds us that music can heal, but only when it comes from a place of truth. The songs that resonated most weren't born in a studio. They were born in the quiet, tear-filled corners of a grieving boy's room. They weren't about being catchy, they were about being honest, and that made them powerful. Iam's music is a reminder that you don't have to have all the answers to create something meaningful. You just have to tell the truth. You just have to feel deep and let that feeling come through. His lyrics weren't crafted for radio, they were crafted for the heart, and that's exactly where they landed. Another profound lesson we learn from Iam is that legacy isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's the strum of a guitar that used to be your dad. Sometimes it's a lyric whispered to the sky because you miss someone too much to say it out loud. Iam didn't let his father's story end with a funeral. He carried it forward. He wove it into every song, every performance, every moment of gratitude. His father lives on, not just in memory, but in melody. Through Iam, we learn that honoring someone's legacy isn't about grand gesture. It's about the daily choice to keep their spirit alive in what you... And perhaps most beautifully, Iam's journey teaches us that you don't need to chase fame to make a real impact. He didn't step on stage to be famous. He stepped on stage to tell the truth. He didn't set out to be a viral sensation. He just sang from his heart, and people listened. Because when someone is real, when someone is willing to share their soul, the world leans in. In an industry that often rewards the loudest voice, flashiest production, or the most curated image, Iam's quiet honesty cut through the noise like a clear note on a stormy night. His fame wasn't built on perfection, it was built on purpose. Iam Tongi is proof that your story, especially the broken, messy, painful parts, can become someone else's survival. He's proof that music isn't just entertainment, it's a lifeline. He's a reminder that even when life breaks you open, what spills out can be something beautiful. Through every stage he steps on and every lyric he sings, he reminds us that the most powerful songs are born in silence and sung in love. So what can we learn from Iam? We learn that your deepest wounds can become your strongest voice. That grief, when shared, becomes connection. That authenticity is far more powerful than perfection. And that no matter how dark the night feels, your story still matters, your voice still matters, and someone out there needs to hear your song. If Iam's story spoke to your heart, if his voice echoed something inside you, don't let it end. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most of all, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that even when life breaks you open, the pieces can become art. Because in Iam Tongi's journey, we find more than just sadness. We find strength. More than just a goodbye, we find a beginning. And in every note he sings, we're reminded that the most powerful songs are born in silence.